Simply put, lighter people run faster and heavier people lift more. So to progress in both running and lifting at the same time, it is crucial you find your perfect body weight. But it's not something that's spoken about all too much and can be a sensitive topic. So understandably, a lot of people are neglecting this important factor and are fighting an uphill battle when it comes to their running and lifting. But I've got a simple 2-step approach which helped me find my ideal body weight, and I'm now getting stronger and faster at the same time in a way that's sustainable and will have me training and thriving well into the future. And the best bit, it's going to help you too. So in the past, I've swung both ways. In terms of body weight, I mean, I'm a happily married man. As an adult, I vary between around 76 kilograms as an 18-year-old to 93 kilograms as a powerlifter in my early 20s. At 76 kilograms, I was definitely a faster runner than my 93 kilogram self. But at this heavier weight, I was also a lot stronger than I'd been before. But confusingly, I was actually somewhere between these two body weights when I set my highest ever powerlifting total, and also when I ran my fastest ever 5k. And in the last year, I've started hybrid training, and despite sitting at around 82 kilos, I'm the fittest I've ever been. Whilst also creeping back towards my former lifting numbers I set back when I was significantly heavier than I am now. This is all despite me now having to balance the competing stimuli of running and lifting. How could I be getting faster despite being heavier? And how was I also getting stronger at the same time? I found this really confusing at first, but what was happening actually started to make total sense when I really understood what finding my optimal weight meant. But before I get to that, let me explain how most people think about body weight when it comes to running and lifting. Runners will tell you that the lighter your body weight, the faster you can move given the same force generated from your muscles. That's why elite runners look like this, and not this. And weightlifters, well, the heavier they are, the more muscle mass they can hold, and heavier weights they can subsequently lift. And that's why elite weightlifters look like this, and not this. So what's wrong with this way of thinking? Because what I said is all totally true. But what I started to understand changed my thinking. And this first bit might upset a few people, but most of you out there are not elite athletes. And yeah, that includes me. So trying to copy exactly what elite athletes do is probably the wrong way to approach things. If you are around average weight, which most people are by definition, your body weight is probably not the main thing holding you back from running faster or getting stronger. Your main limiting factors are more likely to be related to your training, your consistency, your recovery, and your diet. Just take someone like Nick Bare, for example, who weighs well over 200 pounds, but has run a marathon in under 2 hours 50 minutes. Yes, body weight certainly is an important factor that plays into your performance. And of course Nick Bare would probably be even faster if he lost 20 pounds. And I'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're of relatively average weight, and not elite at either discipline, like myself, I'd highly recommend going for the lower hanging fruit first. At the start of this year, I was brand new to hybrid training, but was able to make steady and consistent progress by following these fundamentals. I started doing a couple of slow 30-minute runs twice a week and made sure not to increase my weekly mileage by more than 10%. I reduced my lifting volume initially to accommodate for the new stimulus of running. I focused on compound lifts in the gym, recording my workouts, working at low intensities, and increased my lifting volume gradually over time. I prioritised recovery, making sure I was getting between 7 and 8 hours sleep each night, and took a deload week every once in a while. And I focused on my nutrition, eating a balanced diet with plenty of protein, fibre, carbs, healthy fats, and micronutrients. And as I got fitter, I gradually implemented a longer run on the weekends, and have more recently started including higher intensity running workouts such as intervals or tempo runs. By sticking consistently to these basic principles for the last year, I've been able to transform my strength and fitness, running a 5k PB, training for an ultramarathon, and approaching my previous strength levels, which I thought would be out of reach for me when I started running. Unlike elite athletes, or Nick Bare for that matter, most of us are nowhere near our genetic potentials, and getting faster or stronger is limited more by our lack of training than our body weight. Eliud Kipchoge would still be faster than me if he gained 30 pounds. There are plenty of powerlifters my height and weight who can outlift me all day long. But what if you followed all these basic principles and are looking to gain the extra few percent advantage? Or perhaps you're not around the average and you feel like your weight is the main barrier to you getting stronger or fitter. How much should you weigh? Well, everyone is different and there's no one size fits all rule. But I'll tell you the 2 guiding principles that solve this question for me. Firstly, I think my body weight should allow me to train sustainably into the future. It should be a weight that I can maintain year round, but also a weight that's healthy for me in the long term and isn't putting me at risk of health problems in future. Most of us are not going to be running marathons in 2 hours or deadlifting half a ton, so we have the luxury of assuming a weight that's much closer to average, unlike some elite athletes who often chase their goals ruthlessly at the expense of their physical or mental health. So with that in mind, when I think of a sustainable weight to run and lift, I use the body mass index. BMI has got a bit of a bad rap recently and is seen by some as a controversial measure, but really it shouldn't be, as long as you understand its limitations. It's simply a ratio between your height and weight, and most people should aim to keep their BMI between 18.5 and 25. It's less reliable in people carrying large amounts of muscle mass, or people with amputated limbs for instance. But to account for this, you can try measuring your waist, and if it's less than half your height, you're probably a healthy weight. Staying in this healthy range is likely to give you a really good compromise, where you're light enough to comfortably run regularly, but also able to hold or build decent foundations of muscle mass to lift weights and grow stronger. And as a doctor, I think people can be too quick to disregard their BMI because they see a number they don't like. A small minority might be right, and yeah, it's not a perfect tool, nor is it the only way to measure health, but I'm talking on behalf of most natural athletes out there not using anabolic steroids who are interested in both running and lifting. If your BMI is significantly higher than the normal range, it is pretty unlikely that all that extra mass is pure lean muscle, and I would consider aiming to lose some of it. And the second principle for determining my optimal body weight was to understand my goals and my priorities. Before starting hybrid training, I was a keen powerlifter and reached some numbers in competition I was really proud of. I kind of completed the goals I had at the time. So when I started running alongside lifting weights, my focus shifted towards getting fitter and building my aerobic endurance. So with this new priority in mind, I knew that dropping a bit of body weight from my competition peak would be beneficial towards my new running goals. And losing this weight was easy to do, as I just started running each week. But if in future my focus shifted back towards weightlifting, I'd feel comfortable gaining a few extra pounds as I build some more muscle mass to help me towards that goal. You need to be thinking, what are your current goals and how might your weight affect your progress towards them? Realistically, I'm not going to be tapering my body weight every time I enter a running event or try to gain significant mass to fill out a weight category in my next powerlifting competition. That's because as an intermediate runner and weightlifter, the relative benefit I would get from that weight change would be minimal, and I would probably be better off just having been more committed in my training. Also, as a hybrid athlete, large and regular fluctuations in body weight is likely to impact the opposite discipline negatively, and can also promote unhealthy eating practices. What I will do occasionally is make small adjustments to my body weight within the healthy range over several months in order to better align my weight with my longer term training goals. So I now understand what optimal body weight actually looks like for an intermediate level hybrid athlete. Making progress at this level has far more to do with my consistency in my training rather than the number on the scales. And if you become consistent in your training, gradually increasing your running and lifting workloads whilst eating right for long periods of time, well, naturally your body weight will start to find a happy medium that works for it. So there isn't a prescribed optimal body weight. It's a dynamic target, and understanding these principles of health and sustainability alongside goal setting and priorities will help you find yours. And lastly, I want to emphasize the point that most of us are people first and athletes second. So if you run and lift as a hobby, not as a profession, I wouldn't advise trying to occupy either extremes of body weight at the expense of your long-term health and well-being. And that's one of the reasons I think hybrid training is so great. You naturally moderate yourself and your own body weight simply by the fact you're running and lifting weights at the same time. You're also improving your cardiovascular fitness, muscle strength and bone density, helping your longevity. This allows you to live a healthy and active life long into the future. I don't know about you, but I want to be that 75-year-old out lifting you in the gym or embarrassing you at parkrun each week. And that's it for today. And if you've been wondering how my diet's changed to help me reach this optimal weight and to fuel my hybrid training, well, this next video might be for you. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. And if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like and subscribe for more running, lifting and general fitness content.